Hi, I'm David Vinjamori, and this is Brand New. In Brand News this week, iconic fashion brand Ralph Lauren is rolling out a new ad campaign that, for the first time, features a same-sex couple. The campaign is called Family is Who You Love. Let's take a peek at the new spot.
Family is like home. Feels like home wherever you are.
Family is everything.
Family's the center of my world.
Ralph Lauren joins IKEA, Gap, Tiffany, Wells Fargo, and even Lucky Charms in recognizing same-sex couples. Who doesn't Ralph Lauren love? Average-looking people with no fashion sense. The final season of Game of Thrones begins this month. Oreo's teamed up with HBO to produce a Game of Thrones Oreo. No kidding. Of course, if you have small children, you know that the struggle for that last Oreo is already a death match. Let's take a look at the commercial for the Game of Thrones Oreo. That's amazing. Not only does this commercial unveil what's got to be the best Oreo packaging of all time, it may also reveal who will win the Game of Thrones. In a related story, Mountain Dew is also getting in on the excitement surrounding the last season of Game of Thrones. The Pepsi brand is launching a limited edition special run of cans that are stark white at room temperature but reveal Arya Stark's death list when chilled. The promotion is called A Can Has No Name. Here's the teaser. What comes next? Well, this summer, Mountain Dew will let you customize your own kill list. McDonald's is taking big data to a new level. The fast food giant just acquired personalization platform Dynamic Yield for over $300 million, according to CNBC. McDonald's will use the technology starting this year to offer personalized recommendations on digital drive-thru menus based on weather, time of day, restaurant traffic, and what you've already ordered. The boards are likely to pump the bottom line for McDonald's, but let's face it, they could do so much more. They could become that friend for you. You know, the one who'll tell you it's time to hit the gym. In our main story today, let's talk about the quirky natural brands you love. Over the past 2 decades, consumers have flocked to brands which promise healthy ingredients with a convincing backstory. In my book, Accidental Branding, I related a couple of these stories, like the time Roxanne Quimby was living in a tent by a lake through 4 seasons in Maine with 5-year-old twins. And then the tent blew into the lake. Roxanne told me that story herself. It was incredibly compelling, and it really helped me connect with the Burt's Bees brand. In fact, entrepreneurial brands that do a good job of telling stories like Roxanne's become tremendously valuable. And then, in almost every case, that brand gets acquired by the same giant consumer products companies that consumers were trying to avoid. Burt's Bees, Roxanne Quimby sold it to a private equity company, which sold it to Clorox, and now Procter & Gamble owns it. Seventh Generation was purchased 3 years ago by Unilever. Tom's of Maine has been in Colgate's hands for more than a decade. Do you love Method, or maybe Baby Ganix? They're both owned by S.C. Johnson, makers of the famous floor wax. The problem is that consumers often don't know this. You can't find the Procter & Gamble label on Burt's Bees, and you can't find the Unilever name on Seventh Generation. But the values of those corporations, as well as CEOs, have a lot of sway over what becomes of those brands. So that's information consumers should have. Large corporations believe that a lot of the value of these brands is the illusion consumers have that they're buying an outsider brand, and they're probably right, but that's not an excuse to deceive. Not that corporate ownership has to be bad. Unilever in particular has put a lot of work into becoming more environmentally responsible, and there's actually evidence that some of these acquisitions have had an influence on the mothership. Then there's labeling. We have terribly vague and misleading packaging labels in the US, but the problem gets worse when small brands are owned by large corporations. The word natural, for instance, means absolutely nothing on packaging. Some naturally derived ingredients have chemical-sounding names. Other natural ingredients with natural names can be toxic or even carcinogenic. And the problem with these small brands is that consumers are more likely to trust this kind of slippery labeling when they're stamped on a brand they trust with a charming backstory. It's not fair to entrepreneurs to deny them a way to cash in on their years of hard work, but it's also not fair for consumer products giants to pretend that they're running these companies out of somebody's garage. A little more transparency would be good for everyone. That's brand new for this week. See you next time.